So I'm waiting on a whole bunch of parts to finish up this build. And I thought, while I had a few moments, I would go ahead and clean up the clutch cover case here that I originally painted the cloud silver color, but originally should have been polished. So I'm going to use some paint stripper to strip that down, then some pads to get the rest of the paint off. There's also a few dents here that I'll try to file out if I can, and then polish it up, not to a huge luster, but to something similar that the engine casing is, so that it looks consistent. All right, so I think that looks much better than the painted version that I had on there earlier. I may do a little more polishing while it's on the bike, but for now, I'm pretty satisfied with that. I also ordered the little sticker that goes here in Japanese that says how much engine oil it takes, just to try to keep it a little more authentic. Anyway, now that it's on, I just have it hand tightened, but when you're putting bolts into these aluminum engines, make sure that you're only tightening it up to 9 foot-pounds, and also to use a star crisscross pattern to not put too much stress in any one side. But it's really easy to strip these threads, so again, make sure that you're not torquing it more than 9 foot-pounds. I have that converted on this to, I believe, 108 inch-pounds. I've got the exhaust and the kickstart from T-Bolt USA on the bike, and I covered those in a video that I posted a couple of days ago, but just wanted to bring this timeline current before I start adding some more parts to this bike. So I'm really close to first ride. I got the grips that I'd ordered from a company in Japan. These are the OEM grips, and it looks exactly the same as the one that came off the bike. For some reason, there was a huge chunk taken out of the OEM one. The grip was also pretty beat up, but the new one is in, of course, brand new condition. I have the original throttle tube housing, so since I have the throttle line connected, it should just be a matter of plugging it all together. For regular grips, I like to just use some hairspray. It both lubricates it so it's easy to slip on, and then also acts as something sticky so that it doesn't move and sets pretty well. I'm not sure exactly what gearing I'm going to need on this bike, just because I'm not exactly sure how much power I'm going to be making when I'm done, and I don't know how it rides with the stock gearing. So I'm going to start off just with the 1435 that I've been doing with the CT70 bikes. I just picked up a new 14-tooth sprocket. And I also have the chain, so I'm going to get those two on and then move on to the gas tank. I have no idea how long the chain is supposed to be, so I just bought a 420 with, I think this is 120 link chain, so this will be plenty long enough. On Amazon and most sites, they're about the same price, sometimes even cheaper to buy a longer one. I just have a simple chain breaking tool to pull them apart, so I try to get it pretty much centered in the back here where I want it, and then have the chain fitted. That way, if I do make some changing to the gearing size, I can usually go up or down one tooth without having to change the chain again. Alright, so I'm going to start off breaking the chain right here. You need to also pay attention to which link you're breaking, because the connecting piece is the outside piece, so you need to break it so that both pieces are inside pieces, like the one that comes on this end. So I'm going to pull the pin out of this one. Make sure that you always err on the side of having too much chain, because I can always take off one more link. I can't add one back. Okay, so I took out 44 links and the chain was 120, so that means, at least for this setup, I'm using 76 links. When you put this little connecting clip on, make sure that the closed side is facing the direction that the chain is going to be going. So the chain's going this way, so have the closed end facing this direction, just so that if it does catch a twig or a branch or something, it's not enough to pry it out and pop it off. And so then I'll use these tighteners here to adjust so that I have the proper deflection for the chain. I'm not exactly sure what it is. Usually I'm looking for about 3/4 to an inch of deflection. Want to make sure that it's not touching the swing arm here, but don't want it so tight either. So it'll also stretch a little bit as I ride it. I'm going to back these off and then tighten this down, and then I think the drivetrain is complete. And I should be ready to get the beautiful tank permanently on the bike. There's a couple things that I was missing. One was this rubber grommet to support the back end of the tank, and these little tank holders here. The bike only came with one, so I got the other one for the opposite side. So I should be able to slot it on and mount it permanently. Okay, so I think this key system just clicks in. Looks like it has a piece here that lines up to guide it correctly. All right, that seemed simple enough. I hate it when I finish recording something and go to edit and realize that something was out of focus, which was the outro that I did to this video, but since it was at the end, it's really easy for me just to pick up and close this video out. So really close to finishing up this bike. One thing that you may have noticed in some of the earlier video segments is that the color between the front fork, the misty purple powder coat, and the RP150C on the tank isn't as close as I thought it was. In some light, it's very close, but in other light, like this one probably is as well, you can see that this looks a lot lighter. The RP150C color is actually really awesome. It's sometimes a dark purple, sometimes almost black, and in other lights almost brown. It actually looks a lot like the midnight purple that comes on the R34 GTR, which is one of my favorite cars. And when it becomes available in the United States in a couple of years, I'm hoping to have one here in my garage. But my current problem is the fact that those colors don't match well enough, and it's going to drive me crazy. So I searched high and low. I found two shops that seem to still offer this front fork in the RP150C color. One was in Belgium. I placed the order. They canceled it the next day because they said they didn't actually have it. The other is from a shop in Japan that the order went through. They say they have it, so I'm hoping to have it in a couple of weeks. I also ordered the battery cover in the RP150C color, so that's all going to look really clean. The fenders I can't find in that color anywhere, and the ones that I have that came on the bike are pretty banged up, so I think I'm going to do carbon fiber fenders there, and that'll really round out the look for the way that I want this bike to be. So really excited about the way that this is all coming together. Just a few more things to be able to do first ride, and I think all of them are coming in my next order. I need the front and rear brakes, I need the foot pegs, the kickstand, and I think that's all I really need. I also ordered the engine cover, the chain guard, and a few other small things, but first ride should be coming up here pretty soon. So thank you very much for all of the support and following this build. Please subscribe, stay tuned for more videos, and keep on building.